Oh, why is it not working? Hello. Why is it not working? Now we should be cooking. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Well, that was horrible. Great way to start. Just gonna make sure that I can actually see that the stream is working. Alright. I can actually see that the stream is... Yep, well, the stream's working. Great. Alrighty. So, going to be putting some binding on this Icarus production model. And by the end, oh jeez, that was sharp. By the end of it, it is going to look like this. So this is a dataless production that I binded way, well, a while ago. And yeah, I just realized that there's one issue with me doing this now, which is the horns I would need clamps for. But currently, the clamps that I have in use are the only clamps I have. That is not something I remembered. So, what I might do is I'll get some elastic bands and I'll use the jaw grips on that. At the same time, I'm going to go wash my hands because they're a bit sweaty. So, I'll be right back. Okay. One day I'm going to actually start these streams off so that I don't have any issues. But, you know, isn't this kind of how streams usually go? Alright. Now, hopefully, this sort of contraption will work just fine. Yep. Because I don't need that much pressure, I just need it to really hold on. So I'm pretty sure that that's going to work just fine. I'm going to do the same thing already in preparation for the other one. There. Now this should as well. Yep. Be pretty good. Alright. So basically, all you are going to need for binding, and by the way, hope you guys are having a great Sunday. So all you're going to basically need for binding is masking tape, super glue, and your binding material. Something that does help is a heat gun, so that you could bend around sharper corners like this. But that is something I do not have. So that is something that I cannot use. Darn. By the looks of it, the binding material this time around that I've gotten, usually it's been pretty good, but this has a little bit of a burr on it. So I'm just going to clean that up so that I have a good surface to glue on. And yeah, the reason why I'm streaming now a bit earlier than previously is because, quite frankly, as nice as it is streaming at like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on a Sunday, in the sense that there's actually viewers watching it at that time from Europe, I run into the issue of a lot of my viewers are from the States, so it's really, really early hours of the morning, so they're not going to be watching. Probably still too early for them to be watching this, but yeah, I just kind of lose a lot of my day because I can't do anything before the stream, not really, and then after the stream, well, yeah, there's less of my Sunday to kind of enjoy. And not that I don't enjoy working on guitars on a Sunday, but you know, relaxing is also very beneficial. Before you ask, no, I don't know what I'm blabbering on about. And yeah, I'm basically using this knife here as a sort of scraper just to clean off the burr on the binding. Alright. Now, for the beginning, there's some tape. I usually prepare a good few bits at a time. Just so I'm ready to do the first bit. Frankly, when it comes to this, I only do a little bit at a time because the super glue will start to go off and I don't want it going off too early. Okay, here we go. And because I'm starting off with end grain, it will soak up the glue quite a lot. So the main key part here is applying enough pressure sideways and downwards. So you're pushing the binding into the groove, or into your binding channel. Yeah, because you don't really need massive amounts of pressure to get this to work. Especially on tight curves like this, the curve itself is kind of working with you in the sense that it's pushing into the corner. Come on. And yeah, it's good to be wearing safety goggles when working with super glue. But once again, another case of do as I say, not as I do. Now this is probably the last time that I'm going to be doing plastic binding on a production model. Because honestly, I need to practice what I preach, which is responsibility and sustainability and stuff like that. Because that's kind of what I strive for. And doing plastic, or working with plastic in general, is not something that I'm overly fond of. So to that end, I'm also going to stop using plastic binding on my guitars. Now this is where it gets interesting, because I need to fit around that sharp corner there. And this is the type of part where having a heat gun or bending iron of some sort would come in massively handy. I wonder if I could get it to work with a soldering iron, or whether that would probably just melt the plastic. But if I'm really careful, might be worth a shot. But if I screw it up, it's gonna be very annoying. Oh, I don't have my. Yeah, you know what? Scratch that. I don't have an extension cord, so I can't actually get the soldering iron working right now. So we'll just have to do it this way. What I'm basically doing is I'm trying to bend the material over, and then we'll apply some pressure. Oh, damn, it's not really working. Nope, that's not really working. So hopefully I can create enough pressure with the masking tape to get it done. I have to move on from that point fairly quickly so I can add pressure down the line. And it looks like I got a good enough amount of pressure on there. So I'm good to continue. Remember to always rotate your work so it's easy for you to keep on, well, working on it. Because binding is a bit of a hassle. Most times. And if you were to do the same sort of thing with wood binding, then you really would need some steam, bending iron, and clamps would help. The little ones. There's actually some really good clamps to do with like furniture making, which are meant for applying, God, I don't know the English term for it, but basically binding in a way. And they kind of like latch on to both sides, and then you have the clamp part that pushes inward. So those sort of things would be actually very handy for this stage of guitar building. I'll look over the corner here. Looks pretty good. I'm just adding a drop of super glue at the very point, just because I'm a little paranoid person. But essentially, the corner here is trying to push it out that way, but the corner here is trying to push it back in. So in theory, it should cancel out any sort of movement and hopefully, glue it in better in that corner. All these bigger curves, they're very easy. Just making sure that you add enough pressure with your masking tape. So basically what I'm doing is I'm applying the masking tape on the side first and then pulling it onto the top. And that way it's both pushing the binding into the channel, but also pulling it onto the body. That's another bad thing about streaming on Sundays. Sunday brain. I feel like I'm not making too much sense. Oof, fumes. Just hope I don't run out of super glue while doing this. Granted, I've been pretty generous with my application of glue here, so putting in a little less wouldn't hurt. It's not going to go off on me that easy, or that quickly, I should say. That's not. It's always good to go back and check where you can to see if you've got a good joint. Before moving on and letting it set. Ah, fumes are going into my eyes. That's not exactly a good thing. Now, yeah, I should also say that the reason why I'm doing bindings is because this is a veneer top, and I wanted to try if this would kind of make the guitar look a little bit, I don't know, classier, I guess, a little bit more high-end as well, having binding on it. To be very honest, I don't have anything against veneer tops if they've been done properly. And to be honest, if I did have issues with veneer tops, I wouldn't be using veneer tops. But because I have a lot of the Carillion birch here, it would be a shame not to use it, because it's absolutely gorgeous wood. And I have a lot of it. But in the future, like I said, I'm not going to be using plastic binding from now on. But I don't like the look of having a flat top instrument with the veneer just stuck on top of it, because then you just see an edge. And to me, that's not really all that attractive. So instead, what I'm going to do, I haven't opened it yet because I'm still missing a piece. But I have a bag press, a vacuum bag. So for this type of model, the veneer top production models, Icarus, or the veneer top Icarus and Daedalus models, I am going to start doing a drop top, technically. So basically I'm going to radius carve the tops. So the top is going to be like this, and then I'm going to veneer them. And while I'll still have the edge of the veneer visible, it won't look as, I don't know, as obvious as having it on a flat top because of the sort of curve. And I believe it will actually look somewhat decent. Now, a good example of, or a good test of this will be when I veneer my old base, which has a bunch of carbs on it, on top, and I'm going to be veneering it with the bag press. That's going to be the first experiment, basically. And that will allow me to see how much the veneer will bend without too much assistance. Because technically, I could very easily assist the veneer into shape with some moisture and heat. And yeah, there's various chemicals for softening veneers as well, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that sort of thing. I don't really have too much interest in doing that. Because I've done vacuum press stuff before, and the amount of pressure applied will bend the veneer into a correct shape. It's just more a matter of preventing any cracking on the top. So we'll see. That's going to be very interesting once I get to it. I've been waiting to actually give that a shot. And admittedly, I've had the vacuum press for a very long time now, but I haven't gotten the, what's it called, generator yet to create the, generator is the wrong word. Pump. I haven't gotten the pump for the vacuum yet. So once I do, I will be able to move on to vacuum pressing tops onto guitars. It should also work pretty well with me just pressing, well, normal tops or clamping up, because usually that sort of thing would require a lot of clamps, and I don't have a lot of clamps. I think I have about 6, maybe 7 clamps, and they're all very small, and not the greatest quality either. They're just cheap ones that I bought a long time ago. And another case in point in don't do as I do, do as I say. Get good quality tools from the very get-go. Don't get cheap stuff, because you'll have to replace the cheap stuff sooner or later. Alright, now we're getting to the next horn here. And I'm going to try and do it the same way with this. I'm going to take my time and just bend it into shape slowly, because it seemed to work fairly well on the upper horn, which is a good bit more pointy than the lower horn here. So I think I should be in the clear. Oop, way too much glue. Alright, I'm going to need to move pretty quick here. Way too much glue. And I will have a proper tutorial on how to do this coming up at some point, because I did do the dataless ages ago, and I did film that process. I did think about filming this, like properly filming this, not live streaming it, but I wanted to have something different for this stream, instead of me working on the LED fretboard again, because don't want to keep making the same type of content or the same same video over and over again. That's not beneficial to anyone. Up. All right, let's have a look. Seems like the joint is pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm just gonna nip off the end of there, just so it doesn't get caught on anything. Same thing with this. There we go. And voila. There we are. My fingers are completely covered in super glue now. And yeah, that's one of those things that tends to happen. Yes, I could have used gloves, but honestly they would have gotten stuck somewhere or melted. So that's not ideal either. There we go. So that's what it looks like now. I'm gonna let all the super glue dry to make really sure. Just checking the joint here. No discrepancies that I can see. So I'm gonna let the super glue dry for an extended period of time, just to be really sure that it doesn't move anywhere. But hey, now that we got that done in about half an hour, still got half an hour to stream, so I'm going to clean up the binding on the data list model with Scraper. How's everybody's Sunday going? Is the light bothering anyone? Let's see if it makes it any better. Or makes it look a little clearer if I turn that off. Turn that off. Turn off the window, yeah. If I cover out the window, let's see if it actually makes the stream look a little bit better. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a little better. Alright. But yeah, now would be a good time to actually have clamps to hold this down to place, but I'm just gonna use my body instead to hold it in place. Really sorry for the noise. If you saw on Instagram, I tried to sharpen up all my scrapers because I have a bunch of them. But turns out I don't really have the correct tools to get all my scrapers as sharp as I want them to be. So while this is really good for cleaning up binding, that's about all it's good for right now. Now I could have easily sanded down the binding, but because it is plastic and you're basically rubbing up against it, there's a lot of heat involved, and heat in plastic, well, you know, plastic tends to melt. So scrapers are a good way to do this. Now you can hear from that sound that this scraper is struggling. It's not really that sharp. It's getting the job done. But it could definitely be a lot smoother of a cut. I just hope that on the stream, this sound isn't too jarring. Although I imagine that because I still haven't been able to hook up a proper microphone. I have one, but I just haven't had the time to set it up. I'm still using the laptop audio, which means that it's kind of crap. And I apologize. There's definitely a lot I still need to learn. And I do have a Twitch channel that's kind of waiting for the last bits of setup so that I can actually stream on Twitch and it will then upload straight onto YouTube. I do need to go get some tissue because for some reason my nose is running quite a bit. There we are. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh yeah, and also, guys, what do you think of that? Look at that. That's gorgeous. Basically, if you haven't heard about me talking about it before, that sentence didn't make any sense, but if you haven't heard me mention it before, I have a bunch of this Carillion birch veneer that we found in my grandfather's old little workshop. At first we thought there was just a couple of sheets, but then we found that in the corner there was a lot. So I have a pile of about that much of this 1.2 mil veneer, and it looks incredible, and I intend to use it quite a lot in my guitar building. And you might have seen this used on the scum. The scum has a Carillion birch top on it, which has been stained purple. This is going to be stained what I have called my bittersweet burgundy color, which is basically just a deep wine red type color. The Icarus, so the one that I just binded up, that is going to be plasma bolt blue, and it should look pretty sweet. So a little bit of burst on that one. Let's see, do I have a better burr on one side compared to the other? I really need to get more clamps, because this would be a lot easier if I had something clamping the body down, but honestly my clamps are currently being used as a stand for the camera right there. And the camera in question is my phone. And for those people just tuning in, what we did earlier in the stream was we binded up the Icarus model. And this Daedalus had been bound, what, like a year ago? A year and a half ago? And I'm only now getting to clean it all up. And I am aware that this probably sounds horrible, and I apologize for that. This binding could also be done away with a very sharp chisel, but I believe that Yep. That chisel at least wasn't sharp enough. That chisel has a somewhat chipped edge. So it's not really peeling it away as such. And the rest aren't that great. I really need to get myself set up with some proper sharpening equipment because currently I don't really have any of that. And it's getting to the point where I'm running out of sharp tools. Actually, I've reached that point a little while ago already, where I don't have any sharp tools. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. What I really miss about working at a proper workshop is a bench vise. Actually, a proper bench would be absolutely great. Because now I need to do the sides, and that would be easier if I could clamp the guitar on to a bench vise. I mean, I have one, but that's used for making nuts, and it's not exactly suitable for a guitar body. Looks pretty alright. But you gotta make do with what you got, really. It's funny how I've been working on guitars for a very long time, but more or less working on them in a professional sense for what, 5 years now, and well, let's say 4 years now. And I'm still trying to, I'm still working in a very much DIY type of methodology into many things. I'm just going to see if this will be wide enough for the body. Well, I'll be darned. It does fit, but whether or not it's going to really work is another thing completely. You can always try. Need to add a couple of blocks so I don't ruin the top on here. That on this side, and I'll put this on that other side. I need to bring this down. It's okay. Now, using very sharp scrapers at this point would be ideal. If you don't have sharp scrapers, sharpen your scrapers. Don't have anything to sharpen your scrapers with, get something to sharpen your scrapers with. So, don't be like me and have 5 million different scrapers that are not even remotely sharp. Okay. Oddly enough, this tiny vise is actually working pretty well. go check one more thing. And see if this old sharp razor blade is any better. Well, I think that this one in particular is not really thick enough to do anything. It's actually pretty thin. It's really good, but maybe for the final part. Okay, that's not sharp. Cleaning up the burr on one side, or the edge. And that actually looks pretty damn clean. Nice. Hey, how's everybody's Sunday going? I hope everybody's still safe and at home. Well, if you have to be at home, where you live, depending on how things are going, but I hope everybody's safe. That's the main part here. The world's still a bit crazy. And I can't actually wait until things return to normal. You know what's a little bit more interesting for you guys to be looking at instead of the back of this guitar? Might be a bit more interesting to see the front of it. Which looks a hell of a lot nicer. I'm basically doing this part and removing the excess on the side. I'm making sure that I don't dip toward the top, because then that would mean that the binding would be too thin coming toward the top. Instead, I'm trying to kind of remove it so that it's square to the body instead. Okay, then removing the burr. There we go. Wonder how this is going to go. Okay, it seems pretty stable. Not the most stable. Let's see there. There. That's a bit better. Oh, would you look at that? I didn't even notice that it was already 3 o'clock. So technically, I have finished up the stream for today. I would like to thank anybody for watching, and if you're watching this later on, thank you for checking it out. Basically, what we got done today, which was the main point anyway, was we put binding on this Icarus prototype. No, this is one of the production models now. So we put binding on this Icarus production model, and then once that was done, started cleaning the binding on the Daedalus. I have very high hopes for these two guitars. I'm looking forward to finishing them because they're going to be in some really cool colors. Yeah, it's getting there. Slowly but surely, that's for sure. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to see more. I know that for the next couple of weeks, there might be an actual proper video coming out. Don't know if it's for the next 2 weeks or whether it's going to be another live stream next week and then one the week after. But the week after I'm not home, so that is definitely going to be a produced video. So I'm going to stop babbling on, and I am going to end this stream here. Thank you again for watching. Click like, subscribe, comment down below if you have something to comment on, and I will see you guys in a week or so. Bye.